Hello there guys, in today's video I'm going to show you how to photograph sculpture. This is really important for me as an artist because I'm always need to photograph my ceramic sculpture, and you know, from experience I realise how important it is to present your work, whether it's on your website or on social media platforms, and how useful it is in really highlighting the key features of your sculpture. Yeah, so bear with me if I keep looking down at my notes. Just want to keep this video kind of organised and on the ball again. Otherwise, with me, sometimes I forget these things, and it's like, what I was meant to say that. And so anyway, the 5 things you need to photograph your sculpture. So number 1 is the sculpture. Otherwise you'll be photographing blank space. The number 2 on the list is a space to photograph your work. I like to use a space that has natural lighting coming through a window, and then I like to use photography paper, so like a gradient background as a backdrop to photograph my work on top of. And then number 3 is lighting. So you will need some lighting to photograph your sculpture. I like to use professional photography lighting that diffuses the light, so you don't get any intense glare or reflection coming off the 3D piece. So that's something I'll show you in this video as well. And then number 4, camera. That's a pretty obvious one. And then number 5 is a computer. So you need a computer to transfer your images from the camera to the computer, so that you can then look at the image on the screen and see if it works, and see if you need to adjust the image in any way. So anyway, those are the 5 main things that I use to photograph my sculpture. And yeah, let's get to it. I'll show you now. Yeah, so one of the first tools that I use to help me photograph my ceramic sculpture is a photography gradient background. But you also need like a space to photograph your ceramic sculpture, and ideally if you have a window as well. This is my setup, so I have the window just there, and that can let light in, and that can also help just photograph your artwork. And then the second thing you'll need to photograph your sculpture is lighting, and I use this. It's kind of like this diffused lighting. So you have. Let's see if I can show you the inside. So this is the setup. So you've got this this white light bulb has been specially designed for photography because it emits like a white light, and I find that's better, because if you use like a yellow light that you find in the home, like something like that, you're just going to have like a yellow glare on your sculpture. But I use this photography lighting setup, so it's just literally on a stand, and then you can kind of move this around and adjust it to kind of position the light on top of your sculpture, or in a way that can highlight the sculpture and bring it to the front. I can not only use the natural lighting from outside flooding into the space, but I can also use this white photography lighting that I can then position to light up the sculpture as well. This is the camera I use to take pictures of my ceramic sculpture. It's just a basic digital camera. I mean, you can use a professional DSLR camera, but this is just a basic standards digital camera. But anyway, I try and use this camera to take all of my pictures, and I don't really like to adjust the settings too much on here, like the like the white balance and all that kind of jazz. Because when I take the pictures, I like to just try and focus on, just point and shoot, and just trying to get the pictures right, or get the pictures as good as I can, really, from the start. And then if I need to then adjust the pictures later on, I just do it on the computer. So that's the camera I use. So it's a Canon EOS M10. So now I have the sculpture set up. So what I'm doing now, obviously got the lighting adjusted. So I usually have the lighting that's just kind of lighting above the piece, just to light up the piece, and then we got the light coming in from the window. And then I just literally position the sculpture how I want it positioned in the picture frame. So I'm thinking about the angle and the position of the camera, and then I'm just using the just a simple kind of auto focus on the camera to then take pictures, however many I kind of want, really, different angles. Yeah, so that's all it is, really, just adjusting the lighting, and then just point and shoot, really, and that's how I do it. Then I just look at the images that I have, and then I'll go and then transfer these images to the computer to then edit. But that's all I'm doing. I'm not adjusting any of the features on the camera. I'm literally just adjusted the camera to automatic point and shoot. Now I'm going to show you. We've taken the photo on the camera, and now we've put the photo on the desktop computer or your laptop. And for this example, I'm just using an Apple desktop computer. Yeah, so I'm just using the Mac OS Catalina version. And on this computer, you should have this software called Photos. And what I've done, I've just opened up this, and I'm going to then drag the photo from here onto this Photos software. I can then just drag this onto here, and then I can go into edit. So you've got your tools on the right, and what we can do, we can get rid of any kind of marks on the surface. So we can use this feature called retouch, and I can then zoom in to the image because we got like these marks on the surface there that I usually try and get rid of. So I just use this basic retouch tool, and I can just click on the empty space and then click on the mouse again and drag the tool over to get rid of any of these lines. And I just do that, really. So I'm just using these simple tools, nothing too complicated. And if you make a mistake, you can hit Command and Z on the keyboard, and that will just reverse the mistake. So now that's done, I can then go up to this toolbar again on the right, and I can then adjust the brightness and then the contrast down here. So you could, and before I do this, I like to set make sure that the brightness on the screen is pretty level, and you can just adjust it to a natural level that the screen is usually kind of set to. I can use this function to adjust the brightness, and you could just hit auto and see what happens there, and then you can also adjust the exposure, and that will kind of help brighten up the image.
And then yeah, you could play around with the highlights and just create more depth there. I want the sculpture to be looking like the real thing. I don't want to adjust the quality of I don't want to adjust the picture so much that that doesn't look like the real thing. So in some cases I'll look at the object in real life and make sure that they both kind of look similar to each other. And then you can also adjust the brightness on there. So yeah, that's all I do really. It's just play around with these features just to find the right tone of colors. So once I have that done, you can also start to play around with the contrast, and you could hit auto again and see what happens. But if you find it's too much, sometimes I like to kind of just adjust it even further, bring it down or up on the saturation. Likewise for the contrast, you can kind of do the same. And you can also I find using the cast is pretty useful, because sometimes you might have like a yellow type glow, or you might have some unknown color kind of coming in from the surrounding environment. So you can kind of correct that by just using the cast, I find, just to bring it down. And then yeah, so that's pretty much the tools I use really. You've got other tools down here, like white balance, definition, really. But this is these are the tools that I use, and I find it's just really helps me then just to take the photos from the camera and then edit them to make sure that the images are crisp enough, they're bright, they're clean, but not overly kind of photoshopped, hopefully. You can also crop the image as well. Sometimes I do that. So if I find like I have too much space in the photo, I can then crop the photo and do that. And then I can just hit enter. And then that will then adjust that photo to that cropped image. And that's pretty much it, yeah. And then from there, you can then drag the photo off into a file. If it's going to do that. Nope. Let's try again. Drag it off, there we go. And there we go, we have the image.
Yeah, so that's how you photograph a sculpture. I hope this video has been useful for you, and you've gained like an insight from it. Even I'm still learning, I'm always learning, but that's the way I go about photographing my sculpture. And but yeah, I mean, if you have any kind of comments, feel free to leave a comment. And yes, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you find that it's useful for you and you enjoy the content. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.